So we just adjourned our formal meeting. We just came out of executive session, so I want to thank you all for coming tonight. This is really just an opportunity for you to ask us questions, and hopefully we can give you the answers you're looking for. And Chris Hetzler, our superintendent, is going to say a few things before we get started, and then we'll just open it up to the questions.
Yeah, like Jared had said, pretty much tonight's an informational meeting. So instead of us standing up here necessarily and spewing a bunch of things, you can ask any questions that you may have. We've had a lot of information out there over the last several months. And if there's anything that that piqued your interest or you just wanted more information about, now's your time to ask us. So we'll leave it at that.
You guys give a breakdown of what, how do I want to say this, a breakdown of the importance of infrastructure that we're looking at, either repairing or replacing.
You have the assessments, right?
Yes. So the entire levy started with, we kind of took inventory of our equipment, how old it was, what was going to need repaired, what's going to absolutely need replaced because it's at the end of its useful life, and repairing is just going to be throwing good money after bad. And K-12 Business Consulting came up with a 20-year capital plan. It detailed over the next 20 years everything that we're going to need to repair and replace, gave us dollar amount costs. Not everything is being fully replaced. He didn't just make it a simple case of, hey, here's what it costs to replace the district. So one example of how he differentiated the two is our roofing. We have metal roofing over at the Paulding campus. He said that that's good for about 50 years. There's still going to be some life at it at the end of this 20-year capital plan. So we're not budgeting for that replacement cost. But the rubber membrane roofing is about at the end of its useful life. And we did budget for repairing just about all of it, or replacing just about all of that throughout the district. So he did go through, meticulously documented everything throughout the district, inside and out, at Paulding and at Oakwood. And he gave us his total for the 20 years. He has a lot more of it broken out, but the way we came up with the levy amount was just taking that 20-year amount divided by 20 to get an average annual amount. And it came up to roughly $2 million, 1.9, something like that. But that's where we came up with the ask for the levy, because we saw that our PI money was only bringing in about $410,000, and that's a pretty significant shortfall over the long term. In 2023, we had an OFCC maintenance levy just expired. That levy was meant to just to maintain the buildings when they're at their newest, that first 20 years. It wasn't meant to budget for a new roof or to sock money back for those big repairs. It was really just the state protecting its investment. So that's been off for about 2 years now, and we're really seeing that we're running into a budget shortfall between our PI fund and our general fund that doesn't have a surplus to transfer into the PI funds.
That capital plan encompassed not only roofing, but windows, doors, HVAC, general maintenance with that, our parking lots, okay, at all of our locations, custodial equipment and maintenance equipment, transportation, new buses, repair on the buses, maintaining the buses, even flooring. Our two newest buildings, this is one of them, and Paulding Junior High is the other one, and they're over 20 years old now. So even in those buildings, the flooring and some of those things are starting to wear. Athletic grounds and maintenance, furniture, curriculum. We can buy curriculum out of our permanent improvement fund, which all this money would go into a permanent improvement fund. Cannot pay salaries or anything like that, benefits out of it. And then even technology we can purchase from this account too.
Right, so it's my understanding from what you just said, that the new buildings were built with grant funds along with funds from the community, but all of those have expired. So now this proposal is for income tax versus land tax. So why was that decision made? Can you just elaborate more?
Any of you want to talk about that? Okay.
So we decided on an income tax because typically property tax is concentrated, at least in ag-heavy communities like Paulding. Property taxes are going to be concentrated into just a few landowners. But with an income tax, it spreads the burden out among all the income earning residents. Another thing to consider is just the rising property tax assessments is really pushing people's tax bills up. And we wanted to avoid any issues with someone potentially being taxed out of their own home. So we thought an income tax would be a little more palatable for someone on a fixed income because it would just take a percentage of their income. It wouldn't increase an expense that they need just to live within their own house.
Also, as the years go by, your income usually fluctuates and changes, and your income tax will follow that, not just the property tax. So if inflation naturally goes up and so does your wages, so does the income for the district. So it's a constant to go along with the times, and it's not going to have to be asking for money later.
But if your
Also,
income goes down, then that tax burden goes down as well.
Correct.
and also there is a huge movement across Ohio looking at property taxes, even to the point of abolishing property taxes. So that could be on our ballot. And you know, nobody likes property taxes, but we all drive on roads. It's not just schools, it's roads, it's EMS, it's fire. So there would have to be something in place to replace those taxes. So that's another reason we decided to go more towards the income tax rather than the unknown property tax.
I thought lottery money was supposed to go to the schools. Does that not happen now?
It does. Jake can tell you how much we get. The schools all do get lottery. It's not what
It's not what you think.
what they proposed it was going to be. Jake, how much do we get a year?
We got 91,000 in fiscal year 2025. So the school fiscal year is just July 1st to June 30th. We got $91,000, and that's only about 0.5% of our total revenue.
So is that 91,000
It's
all in
half
one
of a
lump sum? Or is that like, what is that, 1,700 a week?
It's in one lump sum.
What's our annual operating budget?
19 million.
19 million? Yeah, so just a drop in the bucket.
You wouldn't even buy a bus at today's cost.
Does Paulding Exempted Village Schools get any windmill money?
We get about $140,000 a year. We don't get nearly what Wayne Trace does.
Some of our neighboring schools are getting $1 million, $2 million every year.
10 windmills in our district.
I'm not sure how many.
And it's my understanding we can't really add any windmills into this district because of certain regulations, correct?
Yeah, there's some conservation issues that the windmill companies can't build anymore.
Indiana bat in the, I'm not sure how that comes into play, but the Indiana bat is what prohibits it from coming across the road into our school district in the Grover Hill area. They have many, none on the other side of 637.
So earlier this summer, there was an issue with chillers. I guess can you expand upon, the HVAC systems and what we're looking at, repairing, replacing, stuff like that, and approximate costs?
Our biggest issue, well, there's an issue here too, because it's getting to the point where it's over 20 years old, but our biggest issue is at Paulding, because the high school building is 40-some years old now. The junior high is 20-some years old now, and there's parts of the elementary that are 50, 60, or 70 years old. Okay, so getting all those systems to talk, that's the word I use, to communicate with each other is very tough, and we've had problems over the years. And basically instead of overhauling and fixing, we've patched for a long time. And not only the control part of it, but our boilers are 37 years old in the high school. So it's a combination of they're getting old, It's getting tougher to maintain and repair them because a lot of the parts are not available anymore. And then also just the fact that they have trouble communicating with each other and it's not as efficient as it could be. So that's a lot of the issue with both the chillers and the boilers.
So what kind of maintenance plan do you have? You can't expect me to give you money and you don't have a plan where they come in, somebody comes in who knows something about this
Yeah.
stuff, not
But-
just the janitors.
Yep. For years, we've had a company come in on a annual contract to do that. Let's just say we switched companies. And we started with a different company this school year to do that. That we feel more comfortable with.
They weren't finding the issues that could have been repaired before we got to critical.
I wouldn't say we didn't repair them, but we're to the point now where repairing is not going to solve it. They're just, it's like having a 400,000 mile Chevette. It's sooner or later you're gonna have to replace it.
Well,
And
if
it's
you
gonna-
can't find obsolete motors and
Yeah.
obsolete blowers that aren't made anymore for systems that aren't available.
Well, and they're not gonna recognize each other. If, say, we put something new in, they're just not as efficient. It's the same way with your furnace at home. If you get a new furnace,
Okay, I've listened to all I can take. You guys all know I was here when we built these buildings. I drove a bus for this place for over 30 years. Don't bullshit these people out here. All this stuff you're talking about, motors and stuff, I can take a motor to line and get it rewired. I was here when they built all this stuff. We didn't have a maintenance program then. We still do not have a viable maintenance program. I've heard so many people come up to me and say, Ralph, my God, these taxes, why are the farmers supporting it? Why don't you? I said, I'll tell you why. LLCs don't pay income tax to schools. That's why farmers like it. We don't have to pay property tax.
I would disagree with you on that, Ralph.
No, don't disagree with me
have an
because I
LLC
checked
as a
onto
farmer,
it
and
with
I
my
pay
attorney and
taxes to
stuff.
school.
And people in the state of Ohio, if you're an LLC, you do not pay school income tax.
Well, I better get a different accountant because I do.
Me too.
Yeah, I disagree with that, because I've dealt with LLCs.
Well, you check it out once because I'm telling you, boys and girls, I don't pay any more tax than I have to. I don't even pay tax on my play toys, so no winnings from that. You've got to get to a point you're not spending so much money. I tried years ago to keep them from going to this one route system. And this is not against you, Chris. This was a different superintendent. All they could see was 3 routes a day, 3-hour delays, 3-hour delays. As we had a board member that only could see just 2 route a day system. We told the board then, one of the board members is sitting right there, Jeff and I sat down with him. It was going to cost them at least 3 buses a year and $100,000 more. And it come true right to the T. And we're still doing it today, only for convenience to our administrators and stuff, not to the school district. This stuff's got to stop, guys. We cannot continue to pay these taxes. I bought the home place out here in 1975. It was $50,000 for it. I paid it in school taxes and to my grandfather both, and I'm starting my second time around. We talk about doing our children a disservice by not taking care of stuff. Works the other way when we tax them. I'm not going to pay it that much longer. My health stinks. But my children and my grandchildren are going to pay this forever. I don't like permanent taxes. I wish it would have would have been more palatable to me to have an option to say every 3 or 5 years I get a vote on it. Because that gives me an opportunity to tell you, I may not agree with how you're spending my money. Because voting board members off do good, it's any good. Because another board member comes on. But don't sit here and tell me how this system works. I sit in meetings, because Jim Dury had me in meetings with this stuff. And when we was there, they said, motors can be rewired. Don't cost as much as replacing. Fans. All this stuff is rebuildable. And don't tell me about rebuilding, because we do it and that's how we survive. Farming. We don't buy high-priced, pretty machinery. We rebuild and we fix. I want to see our schools survive. And there's something else you're all going to have to sit down and harshly examine. I bleed Kelly Green, believe me. I do not bleed Maroon. But this building someday, in its shortcoming, we're going to have to put it all under one roof. We can't keep affording this. America does not have the money and income we used to have. And it'll be a sad day when I have to see this building closed, but eventually it's coming. And it's gonna have to start being talked about real quickly. Now, it's already in motion. You'll probably get your tax. But think long and hard how you're gonna spend it. I don't wanna see a new bus garage put up. I don't wanna see locker rooms redone. When we have money and you need locker rooms, you come to me as public and we'll do like we did the last time. I'll donate to you, but don't make me taxed to do it. I took great pride in helping build that last weight room, but I didn't have to pay it on my taxes. I was able to use it from my pocket and generously hand it out. But you forced me to pay. Then you forced me to look to ways to avoid paying taxes. And I'll do it. I guarantee you, probably the only tax I'll pay if this thing passes is because of my school pension. Other than that, boys and girls, I ain't gonna pay a dime, not a dime. And there's a lot of farmers out here like that. Another thing you didn't take into consideration, on this side of the school district, we face a situation where in the last, what do you say, Elizabeth, last 4 years, we've lost approximately 4,000 acres to an outside interest. That money never sees this school district. The money, they live in another school district. You're going to lose that taxable income. It's gone. We're seeing more and more people move in from Putnam County over here. And I realize it, but you're going to lose that money too, because I know several big farmers too that's moving over in here. And once they leave with it, they don't pay no tax. Now, I don't want to pay property tax either, but it seems to me you should have talked to us all before you made a decision, because I hate paying taxes, but in the long run, this was the wrong tax to go for, because it's not a state tax. And it's happening over around Paulding too. There's outside of the school district farming. You guys know that. And they don't pay school taxes, but Paulding is going to the school district. It's a tough decision, I know it is. And it takes money to keep these things running. I was amazed when I got to sit in the buildings, meetings, and how much money it does take. These buildings is outrageously expensive to run. Thank God Chris and them got the grant and stuff for the lights. I can remember whenever a light in this building was on when we shut it down for the night. That's no kidding, every hall light, this whole building. Let's see, half the gym was lit and half of this was lit. We fought tooth and nail to get it to the state of Ohio to let it down. I'm glad you're trying to do something, but this is just too much. We cannot handle this. It's got to stop. And those that disagree with me, we'll wait and see.
Ralph, so how are we supposed to do it? How are these kids?
You're going to have to tighten your belt, period. That's all there is to it. You know what?
How do the grandchildren?
How old are my grandchildren? My grandchildren are the last ones in school. That's
You got
it.
one that's a senior this year. So they're still in this school system, and then your great-grandchildren will be in this school system.
My great-grandchildren probably won't live here. We're only keeping.
We want to keep.
Holy crap! What are you going to keep them? Where are you going to get a job at? You tell me where you're going to get a job.
Trying to retain what we have.
Yeah, that's fine then. Where are they going to get a job? Where are they going to live off of? Coopers? I commend Coopers. Known the Cooper family for years. Went to school with them. $17 an hour. You want to raise a family on $17 an hour? Huh? You want to do that? When I growed up driving a school bus, my wife and I was in debt almost $1 million. You know what it was like to live? They used to come up with this BS. Hey, it's only a pizza a week or a pizza a month. Hell, my kids never got a McDonald's until they were 15, 16 years old because I couldn't afford it. Do you know what that does to you? It's hard. It's real hard. And it's going to get harder. I'm serious.
So Ralph, you drove a bus, right? And so you know the expenses on.
You have to speak up. I can't hear.
You drove a bus, so you know the bus routes and how.
Yes.
That in a short time, the school funding goes up single digits. And it's actually been cut these last 2 years, if I'm not right. But yet the cost of a bus went from $70,000 when I first got on board to $130,000 when I got on.
Correct.
How does that single digit compete with 50-digit increases? How do we make that up?
You've got to take the buses back to where they're the most efficient. And 4 routes a day was the most efficient. We went over all kinds of scenarios. And I hate to say this. God, I hate saying this. There's some of these people I worked with my whole life. We're gonna have to look at some things. We may have to look at the farming out janitorial services. Do you know what it costs to employ a janitor? You should. Time you pay all of it as a code district, it's a horrendous amount. It is horrendous. And we're gonna have to think and look at different ideas. I'm telling you, we cannot keep this up. As far as our children going to school, what do you think this is really gonna do for our children going to school? Now, you be honest with me.
Rob, can I interject? So there's
Speak
no
up,
one-
'cause I told
There's
you.
no one that loves the school just as much as you do, but I have to say I have a lot in it. I have 11 nieces and nephews who have been in this building, not just Paulding, but this building too. So I understand that along with my 2 children, who have both been here, myself, my husband, all of my sisters, and all my sister-in-laws. We love this school no matter what. And what I look at is what's best for my kids. And what's best for my kids, and my nieces, my nephews, and everyone involved is to have a roof over their heads that protects them, and heating and cooling that can keep them safe, along with all the other things that go along with getting them to and from school safely. To me, that's the number one most important thing is my kids safe? Are they getting educated in the way that they need to in this day and age? Because like you said, we need to educate them to be able to get a job, to either A, serve our community, or B, look elsewhere for a job, but they need to be prepared for that. And whether we like it or not, the world is changing, and we have to prepare them to be able to do those things.
That's all well, fine and good, but understand something. This group of people has to really start crunching on where we spend our money.
I firmly believe that.
I haven't.
That's been happening for a while.
I've been around this thing for 40 years. I can tell you people's stories of crap that's went on, crap that's still going on and shouldn't go on by board members, because board members in the past have been horrendously liberal with what powers we give them when it comes to hiring people. We have people that work for us that are not certified in their area of teaching. We have to go get it. Certifications from, I know this crap goes on. I look at it all the time. It aggravates me. Because when I crawled on the bus, I had to be certificated and I had to be good. Couldn't go buy me a special certification. Couldn't ride along for the ride until such time. Where do you think it's all going to come from? We're shrinking in numbers all the time. My 2 children stayed here. I was fortunate.
And all of my family as well.
Can we just give you a couple numbers that we have? Go ahead.
I could sit down with Chris and tell him all kinds of things if he'd
Well,
want
I'm
to
sure
talk to
we
me.
could, but I think that with the time that we have, let's try to stay focused on the goal.
You can talk all you want to, I'll quit. But I sure would like to talk to you a little bit, Chris, afterwards, because I got something to talk to you about that is a very huge liability issue with the school buses. I wish you would take the time to talk to me. Because if you don't, state patrol will.
Ralph, can I ask you a question? I don't want to argue with you, but I'm an old farm boy, you're an old farm boy, right? I grew up driving F-12s, F-20s, H's, M's. To me, a 450 International is a big tractor, okay? And do you have any of those old tractors on the farm?
I got a boatload of them, well, that's it.
Do you have any of the new ones with the GPS?
New tractor I got in 1994,
Can
Case
you-
IH 9150.
Can you take the GPS out of the new one and put them on the old H's and M's and have them work?
I could if I had enough manpower,
It won't work.
but some of the newer stuff it won't work, so.
It will not work. What I'm saying is you're asking these people to take 60-year-old furnaces and hook them up with newer furnaces, which are controlled by electronics like your GPS, and then you want them to work. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to argue with you.
Okay, but hear me now. I went through this process. I know what these boilers are here. These boilers here shouldn't give you no trouble if you're maintaining it properly. We tried to get them talked in, putting in a dry well, and they wouldn't do it because the water here at Oakwood eats everything else. Horrible on boilers. Retrofitting and so on and so forth goes on all the time. I'm sorry, it does. We got tractors, our newer tractors, we're having to re-retrofit stuff on some of the newer, updated shift modules and everything else, because you can't get the old anymore, you have to update. It goes on.
Why did you buy the new?
Why didn't I buy the new? Because profit margin farming stink.
Because what?
Profit margin farming stink, and it has for a long time. Really, to be honest with you right now, the farming sector of this country is in a depression. That's a fact.
Has been since 2022.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse, I'm afraid. Just, we've got to start watching our money.
But in regard to that, Ralph, you brought that up, you know, of the 20 schools in our area that we compared to, we're like 14th out of the 20 schools in our area in regard to total revenue generated by property and income tax right now. And we have the 4th highest enrollment. Okay, so I think over the years, and we haven't asked for new money in a long time, I think the school district's done a really good job with having that low of a total revenue per student over the years.
They shouldn't have had to ask for money. My God, Chris, you know what my taxes have went up to? I mean, it's unreal. I mean, when my son graduated from high school, 1999, we bought a farm together. Taxes onto it was a little over $800 a year.
$800
$800 a half. Now, don't tell me you don't get money on the inside 10 mils, because I know you do. And I understand we have to keep up with things. We just got to keep a better handle on it. This, not just this board, I'm not blaming just you guys. It's past boards, when my wife was sitting on the board, we didn't have plans in place, okay, with maintenance procedures and programs. They preached all this stuff. You know, fell on deaf ears at the board meetings and stuff, and then Jim Jury and them gave the report. They wanted plans in place so we could fix it. So
We do
everybody
have
knew what
plans
to
in
do.
We have all those plans, we do.
We have plans in place.
Absolutely. Maintenance
Why
plans,
in
we can show you the
God's name
maintenance
did you
plans.
put it out
financial
there what you
plans.
want to do, not just, we want to spend money, because that's what you said, you want
We've
to
had a
spend money.
very detailed plan on what the plan is for this money specifically.
We
Why
tell you
won't
where every
we?
dollar is going.
It's available.
It's always available. You know what? I don't sit down and read the internet, and I'm not on social media gatherer. I read the newspaper. I'm still old school. I like the newspaper. What's wrong with writing stuff up in the newspaper?
We've had a couple really nice write-ups in the newspaper.
Not explaining it, because, now listen, you guys keep it up, and I'll write a letter, because I know what I'm talking about, because I was here. I was supposed to retire, enjoy my life, and never say a word, but I can't do it.
So what papers are you putting this in? Because the Crescent News has one article, and it was in today's paper about the levy.
That's
Paulding
it.
Progress had an article.
Yeah, Paulding Progress did, West Bend News.
We don't get none of them papers, you know?
Well, West Bend is available to everyone.
Yeah, it's
They
been
might
on
want a
our
mailing address.
website
Yeah, I
since
get it.
March or April.
We have to go to Scan and get it. I'm going to Scan and get it. I go to the Crescent News. That's our paper of choice.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
If this does not pass, because I think everybody can agree in here that times are tough. Costs have exceeded people's incomes. I think everybody is hearing that. What's plan B if it goes to south?
You have that sheet?
I mean, we look at cuts at that point in time.
Yeah.
Different things that we can cut back on, different places that we can save money here and there,
Which we do that every year.
but we do that every year.
We do that every year.
Yeah.
Can you go a little bit into detail of what are potential? Obviously, there's nothing set in stone. The goal is that this passes, but if it were to fail, there are some things that you're gonna look at pretty quickly, correct?
Yeah, yeah. You know, some of the programming we have for our kids, we would have to cut that back. We think we offer a good curriculum, some other good extracurricular programs for our kids. You know, I don't know what that looks like now, you know, to be quite honest with you.
It's hard to really say exactly what we'd cut, because we would have to sit down and say, all right, this year, this is what we have. Let's take a look at what programs, you know, we have to make some hard choices on. And those are programs that, you know, we don't want to see cut because they are providing something valuable, or else we wouldn't have them.
It's also, yeah, it's hard to know because we're looking at a permanent improvement. So if the permanent improvement doesn't pass, buses, you know, will have to stretch out things more. But if we have boilers and chillers that absolutely go, we have to replace them. We have to have heat in our buildings. If our bleachers don't meet state approval, we have to spend that money. So if the money isn't in the permanent improvement, it'll have to come out of the general fund. If we have to take it out of the general fund, that's when we really get into a bind with how do we make decisions that aren't gonna affect the education of our kids.
But ultimately, it could.
And, you know, we do have the projection of a timeline if it doesn't pass when we go into deficit spending, and we can't go into deficit spending, we're not the federal government. So we would, you know, at that point, this is the money we have, and something has to give, so.
And I think it's important too, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
To point out that the state funding is not.
It's up in the air. It's up in the air because we've got people in there right now, like I said, they're looking at all different ways. The charter schools, private schools, their funding since 2019 has gone up 336%. That comes from cutting public funding. That's the direction some of them are wanting to go, and it's scary for all public schools. All superintendents are talking about this.
Has your public funding dropped since 2019? Paulding's? Is that what you just said? I just want to make sure to clarify. Paulding's public funding dropped because of private schools since 2019?
So if you look at the state's budget,
Yeah.
everything for education is in one line.
Uh-huh.
So that's K-12 and that's the private school subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
So what the state has done since 2019 going forward is they had a funding formula that would look at the wealth of a district through incomes and property values. And it would look at the cost that it takes to provide education for a student. Now, they've been increasing the wealth of the district on that side of the equation, and they've been keeping the old costs. So what that does to the school funding formula is it starts to tip more into the locals having to fund more of the education budget.
Okay,
So,
but your funding hasn't been cut to Paulding from the state, right? Just from what was said, I wanted to make sure I understand this right.
are you talking absolute numbers or the numbers they gave us in 2019 for a 5-year forecast?
Well, yeah, just because it was just said that because since 2019, the public school funding has dropped in favor of charter schools.
Yeah.
So has Paulding's numbers that they've received from the state actually dropped? You're receiving less now than 2019?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Percentage-wise, yes.
The reason being,
Yeah.
No.
Not numbers, but percentage
Yes.
that you would have received.
However,
Okay.
I don't know that we can say
Right.
in this forum that
We don't really
know
have
it's
private
because
schools in
of
Paulding
charter
County,
schools.
so that's why I
I don't
was
wanna
just
put that
confused.
out
But if you look at their funding, yes.
I mean, the state
So-
funding in general has.
so if they use the funding formula they approved in 2019 and just didn't mess with it behind the scenes, Paulding would have $4 million more per year,
Okay.
every year.
So what you're saying is, if I understand, is the state has caused a lot of problems, whether it's property taxes or schools.
Both. So the state,
Both sides of that.
the state funding piece, just the money we get from the state, they've cut that back. So if they had just left it alone in 2019, we'd have that $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the state's been paring back our ability, well, they eliminated our emergency levy. We can't renew that when it comes back up in 2029. They've been slowly shifting the property tax burden onto homeowners and off of businesses. So there's two different classes of property. Class 1 is ag and residential. Class 2 is commercial and industrial. And I think it was back in 1991, it was roughly 75%. It was about 50-50. And then recently, it's about 75% is residential. So it's been a huge swing onto the residential taxpayer just as the state starts clawing money back.
And that's even though the 1997 Supreme Court case said the state couldn't do that. The DeRolf Supreme Court case.
Correct.
But the state has done it anyway.
So the DeRolf case had to do with the funding formula from the state.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily related to property taxes, but it did consider a district's local ability to fund it. So the state looks at it as a partnership, or the state constitution looks at it as a partnership between state and local community. And in the DeRolf decision, they said the state's not holding up their end of the bargain. So it was during the DeRolf decision that I think the state funded about 45% statewide of all schools, and now we're down to about 32%.
And even here lately, you know, the plan that they had for the 6 years to fund us through the next, not even this biennium, but the next one, that it's gone down there. Instead of going up with the costs, what things cost for us, they kept it back to a couple years ago. So they're using those figures to give us funding for the future when our costs are so much more. And that's where a big shortfall's coming over the next few years.
Okay. And I hope I'm not asking too many questions. If we'll switch over to like extracurriculars and sports, how much of the budget goes to extracurriculars, and do ticket sales pay for it? Like the maintenance, the
Do you
the
mean
new
for the levy or like for our budget?
for
Jacob just talked about that today. as a matter of
yes,
fact.
yeah, because the new softball field, which looks great, and it was donated, I believe,
Donated.
by Virginia Eiler. That was really nice. The baseball field just got all new dugouts. You know, it looks nice. Does that come out of taxpayer dollars?
That was donated.
Okay, and
so
so it's
is the new
good to let
concession
people
stand.
know that.
Part of the new concession stand was donated.
Okay.
Part of it.
So as far as like the athletics and extracurriculars, do ticket sales cover those costs, or does tax dollars have to come into play?
Not even close, not even a discussion worthy as far as does it cover it.
Yeah.
Oh,
For any school.
Yeah.
And ticket prices went up.
That's
And-
why,
They go up
and that's why a lot of schools have had to go to pay to play. Many schools have had to do that, and, you know, we hope
well, you've
we-
got good football attendance this year.
Right.
Actually, just in the football side, back when I had fifth and sixth grade, average football helmet was roughly about $120, $500.
Somebody's making a lot of money.
$500. And they have to be certified. I mean, you can't use the same helmet for 10 years. They have to be certified, they have to be sent in.
Yeah, they get sent in every
Well,
year.
maybe that brings up another question then. How has state regulation increased your cost while them not funding? Is that happening?
Unfunded mandates, there's too many to count.
That happens to us.
We could spend all night just discussing that if you gave us a week or two to research all of them. But there's no point in getting into the details. If you just look at the amount of time a child can spend on a bus, which sounds ridiculous. It should be up to the district to route things how they see fit. But there's limits on how long a child can be on a bus.
It sounds to me like everybody in here is pretty much on the same page, and what we need is a state representative in here.
We've had them.
Yeah.
We've had them.
Been there.
Both the local state reps and then with us
Yeah.
multiple times.
Unfortunately, some of the bigger areas, the representation are more liberal thinking as far as spending.
Well, and it
And we
seems
don't have
like
the population
what's
base
going,
to carry the votes.
as an outsider who's not in the district, what I see is it looks like they're trying to pit the local people against each other on these
Absolutely.
paying
And
for
that's-
things, when the state constitution clearly says that the state has to pay
Right.
for the public
And
schools.
not only that, but the bill they got going through right now, they're talking about getting rid of the property tax. That's great, I don't want to pay property tax, but it also funds everything. I mean, that's like going to work and the guy saying, I'm gonna give you money it's gonna be worth something in 10 years, I just don't have a plan on how to give you that money in 10 years, you don't work for me for free. I mean, that's what they're asking the schools to do, and they're not gonna survive with that.
Yeah, the property tax discussion is just, it's mind-boggling because, you know, townships, counties, all your roads, all that stuff is funded through property taxes, so where's that money coming from? If you get rid of property taxes, who's gonna pay for it?
And now they have the brilliant idea to combine districts into the same county. Could you imagine if Antwerp, Wayne Trace, and Paulding were all in one school? How would that work?
Well, there's 915 high schools in the state, and the latest proposal was they want 92.
I think it was 99.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some real different thinking out there, and it's scary. It's almost like they want to force us to totally take care of ourselves, and them not do their part of it.
Which could probably work if you didn't have the regulation.
But it would be a hefty burden on our residents and taxpayers, so that's for sure.
Did you have a question back there?
I mean, I look at this and, you know, you talk about HVAC and the roofs and all that, and those seem like they're critical things. But why throw in a $2.6 million bus garage? $3.6 million bus garage. To me, that seems like a little extra frivolous. I mean, I understand, to extend the life of your buses, but how many of us don't have a garage for our vehicles? And we have our vehicles and drive until the wheels come off. I mean, to me, that's a little bit frivolous. I understand, like I said, the HVAC, you know, we're retired and we don't get an increase in our taxes, or excuse me, our retirement a year of what this tax is gonna cost us.
A good, just to think about on buses, right? The buses aren't for personal transportation, right? They're transporting our children, you know, from their home to their school. So we want not only good running buses, but we want the best buses we can put our children on, right? And buses are not cheap anymore. Even if we try to repair them, repairs on the buses, we have to either do it ourselves, buy the expensive parts, or send them somewhere to get them repaired. Nothing is cheap. You know that. You're living on the economy. We're dealing with it as well, just at a much larger scale. So while 3 point whatever million for the bus garage might seem like a lot, and it is, but we're talking about long-term, covering all of our buses, which protects all of our students, and you can't just compare it to your car at your house, which is yours and you're paying for it. I mean, this bus garage takes care of the maintenance of these buses for so much longer than if we had them sitting out. Think about your car that sits out, not in a garage, what it looks like compared to somebody who has their car covered in a garage, right? 20 years down the road, that car that sits out, it's in bad shape. Is that what you want your kids riding on?
Yeah, I mean, we feel it's a safety issue. Number one, studies show that buses last longer. There's longevity if they are covered and if they're on a concrete or asphalt slab compared to being uncovered and on gravel. So, you know, we're thinking long-term where we can extend the life out of those buses as well and keep our kids as safe as possible. That's the plan with that.
One of the things I have a problem with, and it was mentioned earlier, is this is a permanent tax. I never get to have another say on how much money you're taking out of my income. And I totally disagree with that. I think, I know it's a hassle, I know it's so much easier to just get it locked in and not have to deal with it. But I disagree with that because I should have the chance to put my input in from time to time.
That was
And
something.
I know you need money, I know everything is costing more, but everything is costing us more also. And I can't just keep paying more tax when I'm not getting any more income. When is enough enough? Do I just give my entire check to the government and hope that they give me something back to live on? I mean, it's getting to that point. This thing is going to cost me a 33% increase in what I'm currently paying in school tax. Between property tax and this levy, it's a 33% increase in what I'm paying on school. That's a lot of money. I mean, it's going to go up to, it's a little over almost $1,600 a year that I'm paying in school tax.
That might not sound like a lot to people, and I know you guys have been promoting this as $4 a week or something. Well, there's a lot of weeks I don't stop at Grounded and get a coffee because I can't afford the cup of coffee. But I'm supposed to be able to afford this and never have another voice in continuing it or not. So I think you're totally wrong in trying to make this a permanent tax.
Jake, is this an earned income tax levy or traditional tax?
It's traditional.
This was something that it was discussed before Joe and I got on too. I mean, you know, do we do it, do we not?
Can you speak up?
Yep, this was not something that was thought about lightly. I mean,
And if you have a 20-year plan, there's going to be things beyond that 20 years. We tried to do a 20-year plan. If we get 5 years into it and we do have to do a renewal, and we've got funding set up where we've taken a loan or something, if we 5 years in and it gets voted down, what does that do to the 20 years? We're trying to spread it out over 20 years to do our maintenance.
Then make it 20 years, don't make it permanent.
But at the end of 20 years, there's always, when I budget for my house maintenance, repairs, guess what? Something else happens. There's always going to be maintenance, and the less that the state gives us towards that, the more we have to spend ourselves.
I mean, there's no plan to eliminate our buildings and consolidate as far as from the board, is there?
That our hope is to never have to do that.
So, I mean, whether we agree with that or not, I mean, obviously the long-term plan is for these buildings to be here forever. You know.
It would cost more probably
Right.
to do one building.
To build a new building, the levy would never cover that.
It should have been done in 1955.
I mean, and the other thing is to speak to the school, the bus garage, or, you know, anything that could be looked at as not necessary. I mean, there's a priority of how things are going to be fixed, replaced, and if there's things that come ahead of that bus garage.
It will change.
I mean, is it going to get delayed, or is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Nothing we've kind of laid out in the plan is set in stone on a specific timeline. Everything is flexible based on need, so.
Because right now, there's probably, about 300 kids at Oakwood?
Yeah.
I mean, could you really fit 300 kids over in the elementary, in the middle school, over there?
I mean, physically possible, sure. But think about the quality of education and the quality of life for those kids. I mean, it's not what you want.
It's not what we want.
You're going to be taking a lot of kids here. And I'm going to say, I mean, Oakwood was just, there was a post that Oakwood was top, was 16 out of 30 schools out of the best in the state of Ohio. I mean, Oakwood is one of the best schools out of 250. So, I mean, this is a great school here, and speaking as myself, I would hate to see kids leave from Oakwood to go to Paulding.
So we're trying to be proactive and not have to, every time something breaks, try to figure out, okay, we have to do that, so we have to take it out of the general fund. So for next year when we're doing our budget, do we have to increase our class sizes to eliminate a teacher? Do we have to do this? We're just trying to be proactive.
Because the reality of it is if there's cuts that happen, it's going to be more than just sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be the non-core
And we-
classes and things like that. I mean, I realize we can't specifically say X, Y, and Z, but I mean, the reality of it is that more than just sports or more than just performing arts or anything like that is going to be cut or adjusted in price.
I want to go back to what you said, Jeremy. We are prioritizing these things that we're having issues with now. Those would be the first things that we look to correct.
And the
if
bleachers
levy
will.
passed. Yeah.
And the bleachers, we are every year having problems.
It's a safety issue. A lot of this is safety. Safety for our kids, safety for our teachers, a lot of it.
And they don't meet handicap accessible access either anymore.
And I think it was important for us to be transparent from the get-go what this money could potentially go to. So, but it gets prioritized throughout that 20-year plan.
I just
Am
want to bring it
correct
to.
in saying that, everyone?
Yeah. If we were to close the Oakwood building, which is not on our plan, those students all wouldn't get moved to Paulding either, because there's a lot of people in the outlying areas that are not going to drive their elementary kid or put them on a bus to get to Paulding every year or every day. When Continental, Defiance, Ayersville, and Wayne Trace are a closer school district for them. So if your thought is to close this building, you're also going to lose a lot of your student enrollment, which also cuts back on your funding again. It's a double-edged sword.
That's what I was just gonna say, Chris, you said we're fourth in the surrounding area as far as enrollment, but aren't we like third or fourth in the whole state as far as square mileage?
Top
Yeah,
5%.
We're up top, yeah.
I mean, this district is huge. and that's
Which
why-
goes to the point of the buses, they
Right.
get more wear and tear in our school district than most school districts, so we want to protect them as long and as best as we can.
I mean,
So-
we're not like a lot of districts in the state where you got a bus that might travel on average 2 miles a day. I mean, we got 13 miles one way and 3 miles the other, plus north and south, so. And that's what people don't understand is the time those buses spend and the miles they rack up and earn.
And the kids that give a lot of time that they're on the buses.
Correct. Some of them are on a long time, for sure. You know, at times we get compared to like Van Wert. That's a school that a lot of people want to compare us to, but there's a lot of differences because of what you just said, Brian. Our area is a lot bigger. Our square mileage, I think, is 183 square miles, I believe, 178 around there, where our buses are on the road a long time, for sure, for sure. You were gonna say something, Jeremy, I think.
Anybody else?
Any other questions, burning questions?
I have just a statement, I guess, to some extent. It was brought up about, would people want to come back here? Like, are your kids going to come back here? Your grandkids going to come back here? And I think there's a lot of us that don't necessarily work in this county. There's a lot of people that work outside of this area. And it's important to realize that you can go make money elsewhere. We want our kids to want to come live here and send their kids to this school. Like, obviously, all 4 of my kids are in the school district right now, and I'd like for them to want to come back and raise their kids here. And maybe they might not work here. Maybe they're going to work in Fort Wayne. Maybe they're going to work in Defiance or somewhere else. But I want them to want to live here and send their kids to this school and have the community that is here. And that's really the goal. But if we want to bring in more business, we also have to have a strong school that brings in the businesses, because they won't come to a community where people don't want to live and don't want to send their kids to the school. So it's sort of this,
For sure.
they all feed one another. It's a domino effect ultimately. And so remembering that, and that we need to make sure that we have a strong school, so we have a strong community, because it all works together that way. And it's hard. None of us want to pay more taxes. Nobody wants to pay more money. But I want my kids to have a safe school. I want them to have the best education, the best curriculum, the best technology. And that's all things that we have to be paying for. And when my kids are gone, I'm going to want that for the next generation as well.
I think we've done a good job the last 5, 6, 7 years of opening up our students' eyes to what they can do around here. And Paulding County are very close to it. And our last, few classes that have graduated from college, a lot of our kids are coming back. They're coming back, whether they're employed by our school, whether they're employed in our village, whether they're employed in Defiance, but they're coming back to Paulding, they're coming back to Oakwood, and that's what we want to continue to do, for sure. So that's a great point, and we have some momentum going in that respect.
I just would like to make one more statement. When we decided to go with the income tax, one of the reasons that we chose the income tax over the property tax is I don't know if people realize, but 60% of our students in our school are poverty or below when you look at their incomes of their families. And the last thing that we wanted to do as a board is make a burden on those families yet to boot. So if you go ahead and you put a property tax on there, even if they don't own their home, their landlord's gonna up their rent. Because he's gotta pay that property tax also. So the best way that we thought that we could still fund the school on a limited income school district was the property tax. Or income tax, sorry. But this board put a lot of time and consideration into this, and we didn't take it lightly. So not everybody's gonna agree with it, and we've heard that tonight, and we respect that. But I just want everybody to realize that we did put a lot of time into this, and these are some of the reasons why that we chose the income tax over the property tax.
Nothing is perfect, we're just doing the best we can.
All right. Anything else before we close? Yeah,
Thank you all
want to
for
thank you all for coming out.
I spoke my piece. I said as a setting trustee, I know what these people's going through, it's a pain in the ass. And I'll be real honest, it might be a little too blunt for you. But I'm telling you, it is hard to please the public, it's very hard. I got more help and grief being a trustee over burials than anything I've done. And buddy, grandma's tombstone better be right, this and that. And I understand what you're going through. I've been an employee for off and on for 40 years for the school. I went for 8 years without raises at the school. I know what you're going through. But I also know other things and issues that's going on out here that could have worked on a little better.
We appreciate everybody that came tonight, and we appreciate your opinion and your concerns, so thank you.
Yep.